I was thinking about that specific moment. You know the one I mean, right?
Mm.
When the sun finally breaks through a really thick, oppressive fog.
Oh, yeah, that heavy kind of fog where everything is just washed out.
Exactly. You are walking along, and for the longest time, everything around you is just, well, gray, completely obscure.
You can't even see 2 feet in front of you.
Right. And you start to convince yourself that the gray is all there is. But then suddenly, the air just sort of shifts.
The light cuts through.
Yeah, the light cuts right through. And you realize that just because you couldn't see the road in front of you, it doesn't mean the road wasn't there all along.
It was always there, just right under your feet.
Exactly. It was just waiting for the fog to lift. So we just want to say, pull up a chair right here at the Crosstalk Cafe in South Park. We are really glad you were sitting right here with us today.
We really are. We're just 2 peers, you know, 2 friends walking this road of recovery right alongside you.
Yeah, we're in this together. And today is about taking that first terrifying, honest breath of reality. I've realized that denial is like living in a room where you've convinced yourself the walls are a different color than they actually are. You spend all your energy trying to maintain that illusion, and it's just lonely.
It really is. And addressing that denial starts the moment you stop shouting over the truth and just let the silence settle in. When you finally say, this is where I actually am, it feels like an ending, but it's actually the first time you're truly present in your own life. Once you face the reality of your situation, you're finally in a place where God can actually meet you. He can't heal the fake you. He only meets us in the truth.
That transition, from shouting over the truth to just letting the silence settle, that is exactly why we are gathered here.
It's a massive pivot.
It really is.
Right.
We are moving from carrying the weight of the past into doing the essential, tangible work of the present.
Today is fundamentally about action.
Yes, action. It's about firmly planting our feet in what is actually happening right now. So we have to ask the hard questions, like how do you actually begin to address your denial?
Right. And where, in what specific areas of your life, are you finally facing reality?
Because that pivot to action, it really requires us to look at the state we are leaving behind. For so long, we just live in this state of, well, sheer paranoia.
Oh, totally. Just think about the intense vigilance it takes to protect a lie.
It's unbelievable.
It drains your spirit in a way that very few other things can. You live in this constant state of looking over your shoulder.
Always waiting to be found out.
Right. You are always making sure no one sees the struggles you are so desperately trying to hide. You have to keep your story straight, remember who you told what to, and ensure the facade never cracks.
It's a full-time occupation.
It really is.
But, I want to push back on something here, because calling it a full-time occupation almost makes it sound orderly.
That's a fair point.
In my experience, it's not orderly at all. It is entirely depleting your strength in a completely chaotic, frantic way, minute by minute, hour by hour.
Spending all your strength just to maintain a mirage.
Exactly. And the result of that extreme vigilance isn't just that you were running on fumes. The real tragedy is that you fall into this profound isolation.
So isolating.
You can be sitting at a crowded dinner table surrounded by a spouse and children who love you deeply and feel completely, entirely alone.
Because the person they are interacting with, the person they are laughing with, is a self-constructed false reality.
Yeah. They aren't reaching you. They're reaching an avatar you created.
That is the precise tragedy of it. The lie requires a fake version of you to be the public face. And that means the real you is locked away in the dark.
Just sitting in the dark.
But contrast that intense, isolating paranoia with the peace of honesty. Now, we have to be clear here. The peace of honesty is incredibly frightening at first.
Oh, it's
It
terrible.
doesn't feel like a warm hug right out of the gate, but it is an immediate, undeniable relief.
It is. The moment you state the truth, that frantic energy you needed to hide the struggle just evaporates.
You are no longer spending your strength holding up the scenery.
I remember that exact sensation. It wasn't that my problems vanished, right? But the secondary problem, the frantic spinning to hide the first problem that stopped.
The cover-up is always worse.
Yeah. But this brings up a tension I really struggle with, and I think a lot of people sitting here with us do, too. If the peace of honesty is an immediate relief, why does the paranoia of the lie often feel safer to us?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. Is it just because the lie is a room we built ourselves? Like, even if the walls are closing in on us, we know every corner of that room, so it feels familiar.
We choose the familiar pain over the unknown relief.
Exactly. Why do we do that?
It really comes down to a warped sense of control. The truth is inherently wild.
Totally wild.
The truth is completely unpredictable. When you tell the truth, you surrender all control over the outcome. You do not know how people will react.
You don't know if they'll be mad or sad?
You don't know if they will stay or leave. You don't know what consequences will immediately follow. But the lie, you are the author of the lie.
Right. You think you can manage it.
You think, if I just manage this perfectly, if I just tell this person this specific version of events, I can keep the entire structure standing.
It's an illusion of control.
A total illusion. And, there's also a massive sunk cost fallacy at play here.
Wait, explain the sunk cost fallacy in this context, because
Yeah.
I think that's a crucial mechanism we often ignore. We usually hear that term in business or investing.
Right, exactly. The sunk cost fallacy is the idea that you continue investing in a losing endeavor simply because you've already invested so much into it.
Okay, so how does that work with denial?
Well, in the context of denial, if you admit the truth today, you are simultaneously admitting that the last 5 years of your life, all the energy, all the lying, all the hiding, was a complete waste.
Oh, wow.
Acknowledging the reality of today forces you to grieve the years you lost to the lie. So to avoid that massive wave of grief and regret, your mind doubles down.
It just refuses to stop.
It says, keep the lie going, because if we stop now, we have to face the entire backlog of deception.
That makes so much sense. The weight of retroactive guilt keeps the current lie spinning.
Precisely.
We literally trade our actual freedom for a highly curated, deeply lonely prison simply to avoid the embarrassment and grief of admitting we built a prison in the first place.
It's heartbreaking when you say it like that.
So how do we break out? Because if you look at the entirety of a 10-year lie, the walls seem way too thick to ever break down.
They seem insurmountable.
Yeah. People stay paralyzed because they think addressing denial means holding, a press conference and confessing every wrong they've ever committed to everyone they know all at once.
Which is an impossible standard. And that is exactly why people stay in hiding.
Because it's too much.
Right. You don't have to demolish the entire building in one day.
Right.
The reality of breaking denial is much quieter, much smaller. We use a practice we call micro-honesty.
Micro-honesty. Okay, I like that. That strips away the intimidation factor. But I want to make sure we don't just treat it as a buzzword,
Absolutely.
What are the actual mechanics of it? Because it sounds simple, but in practice, anything with the word honesty attached to it feels like standing on the edge of a cliff.
The mechanics are very specific. It is the act of naming exactly one small truth to one safe person.
Just one.
That is the entire scope of the action. One truth. One person. It absolutely does not have to be the deepest, darkest secret of your life.
So no press conference.
No press conference. It just has to be a truth that you have been actively hiding or manipulating.
Give me an example of what that looks like.
Well, for example, instead of your default automatic response of, I'm fine, everything is great at work, micro-honesty is saying, actually, I am carrying a lot of anxiety right now and I didn't sleep well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's small but significant. But I'm hung up on the one safe person part of this equation.
That's the tricky part.
Because in my mind, my reflex is to define a safe person as someone who makes me feel better.
Right. Someone who coddles you.
Yeah, someone who pats me on the back, or maybe even someone who justifies my bad behavior. If I offer a micro-truth to the wrong person and they react poorly or try to lecture me, my natural response is to retreat back into the lie forever and bolt the door.
Which happens a lot.
So we need to be incredibly precise here. What actually constitutes a safe person?
That distinction is vital. A safe person is not necessarily a cheerleader, and they certainly aren't an enabler.
Okay.
A safe person, in this context, is someone who listens without immediate judgment. But more importantly, they are someone who does not try to fix the situation on the spot.
So they aren't handing out advice.
Exactly. They don't immediately hand you a 5-step plan to solve your anxiety. They don't try to silver line your pain by saying, well, at least you have a job.
I hate when people do that.
Right. A safe person simply allows the truth to exist in the open air between you. They bear witness to your reality.
You just sit with it.
They have the capacity to sit with you in the deeply uncomfortable space of the truth without trying to rush you out of it for their own comfort.
They give the truth oxygen. They don't smother it with unsolicited advice, and they absolutely never use it as ammunition later.
Never.
That's a tall order. Finding that person is essential, and to be frank, it might not be a family member.
Often it isn't.
Sometimes family is too close to the blast radius of our denial. Sometimes the safe person is someone sitting right here in this room at Crosstalk Cafe.
Very true.
It's a sponsor, a mentor, or someone who has clearly walked this road and demonstrated they can handle the heavy weight of reality without flinching.
And when you find that person and you execute that single act of micro-honesty, a fundamental shift occurs. It creates a profound ripple effect.
Because it breaks the silence.
Exactly. You see, the lie, by its very nature, relies on total silence. It requires a complete vacuum to survive. The moment one small truth is spoken aloud, that vacuum is broken,
The foundation cracks.
and the foundation of the false reality cracks.
Let's break down why speaking it aloud matters so much. Because a lot of people will say, I know the truth in my head. I admit it to myself all the time.
Oh, I hear that all the time.
Why does the physical act of vocalizing it to another human being break the vacuum?
Because keeping it in your head is just another form of management. When a thought stays strictly internal, it remains a concept.
It's just a feeling.
Right. It is a cloud that you can manipulate, reshape, or rationalize away. But the psychology of vocalization is entirely different.
How so?
When you push air out of your lungs, vibrate your vocal cords, and put the words into the physical space of a room for another person's ears to hear, it becomes an objective historical event.
You can't take it back.
You cannot unsay it.
Mm-hmm.
It transitions from a private, editable thought into a public, uneditable reality.
I see. It's like breaking the surface tension of water.
Yeah.
It takes a disproportionate amount of energy to pierce that tension, but once you do, you fall right through. You hear your own voice speaking the truth, and the most shocking thing happens.
The world doesn't end.
The world doesn't end. You realize that you survived the honesty. And because you survived telling that one small truth, the fear diminishes just enough that the next truth becomes slightly easier to share.
Exactly. You are literally building a new muscle for honesty. You are proving to yourself, through empirical evidence, that the piece of honesty is survivable.
And it's ultimately preferable to the draining paranoia of the lie.
Without a doubt.
So we want to look right at you as you sit with us today and ask, who is the one safe person in your life right now?
Just picture their face.
Think of their name. And what is the one small truth you are holding back from them? What is the one sentence you have been swallowing down, modifying, or outright burying every single time you interact with them?
That is a powerful question.
That is your starting line. But to identify that truth, sometimes we have to look outside of our own swirling thoughts. We have to address the second core question of our conversation today.
Right, which is, in what specific areas of your life are you now beginning to face reality?
Because denial is a master of abstraction.
It really is.
It thrives on vague feelings, general malaise, and floating anxieties. Confronting denial requires bringing things completely down to earth. It requires a practice we call grounding.
Grounding is the absolute refusal to stay in the abstract.
Refusal, I love that word.
It is the practice of moving the conversation from how you feel things are to looking at the concrete, physical evidence of your life.
You have to look at the facts.
Denial cannot survive physical evidence. When we stay in our thoughts, we can rationalize absolutely anything.
We're so good at justifying our own behavior.
We can spin a narrative that justifies our absence or our habits. But when you force yourself to look at the tangible, undeniable artifacts of your daily existence, the narrative you've been spinning instantly falls apart.
We really need to get incredibly specific with examples of grounding here.
Let's do it.
Because it's one thing to say a single truth to a friend over coffee, but the physical environment of your daily life is where the denial actually lives.
It's what you trip over when you walk in your front door.
Let's talk about the bank statement. This is a massive, crushing area of denial for so many people, facing the reality of financial choices.
Money is such a huge trigger.
Grounding isn't just saying money is tight. Grounding is the physical act of dealing with the mail.
The unopened envelope on the kitchen counter is the physical manifestation of denial.
It just sits there.
It sits there, holding the absolute truth, and you walk past it every single day. You avert your eyes. You spend your strength actively trying to ignore its presence.
Or, in the digital age, you delete the banking app from your phone entirely so you don't accidentally see a notification.
Oh, people do that all the time.
You operate on a vague, hopeful sense of, I'll figure it out next payday, rather than looking at the hard, cold numbers on the screen.
It's avoidance in its purest form.
I want to dig into the psychology of that specific avoidance. Walk me through a scenario. You sit down at the computer, you go to the bank's website, you hover the mouse over the login button.
Your heart starts pounding.
What is actually happening in that moment that makes it so terrifying? Why is looking at a piece of paper or a digital ledger so much harder than just admitting I have money issues in our heads?
It's a great question.
We admit the concept to ourselves all day long. Why does seeing the number force the illusion to shatter so painfully?
Because the concept of money issues is a story you tell yourself. And as we discussed earlier, stories can be edited.
Right. You can change the ending.
Exactly. You can soften the edges of a story by adding a hopeful ending. I have money issues, but I'm expecting a bonus, or I'll just work overtime so it's really fine.
We always add, so it's really fun.
Always. But ink on a page or pixels on a screen are uneditable. The number is the number.
You can't argue with it.
If the number has a negative sign in front of it, it completely destroys the hopeful ending you tacked onto your internal story. When you look at the ledger, you are no longer the author of the reality.
You are the subject of it.
Yes, the ledger doesn't care about your good intentions. It doesn't care that you meant to spend less. It only records your actions. Looking at the exact number removes your ability to spin the truth.
It forces brutal accountability to the present moment. It strips away the someday and leaves you with the right now.
That's exactly it.
Let's apply this grounding principle to another area, one that is often even more painful.
Okay.
The struggling marriage. Denial can build walls of silence in a house so thick that you can't even see the person sitting across from you at the dinner table.
It's a heavy, heavy silence.
Grounding here means looking honestly at the massive, quiet distance between you and your spouse. It means moving past the everything is fine narrative.
And that everything is fine narrative in a marriage is often a desperate survival tactic.
It is.
It is how two people cope with the profound grief of a disconnect they don't know how to fix. So they fall into a routine. They enter what we call the polite roommate phase.
The polite roommate phase, that is so accurate.
They expertly manage the logistics of the household. They coordinate who is picking up the kids. They manage the grocery list. They pay the utility bills.
It's like business partners.
Exactly.
Okay.
But they completely ignore the chasm of silence that exists when the logistics are handled. Grounding in a marriage means looking at the physical evidence of that disconnect.
Right. It's not an abstract feeling of we are drifting. It is looking at the physical evidence. You have separate routines that never intersect.
You go to bed at different times to avoid the intimacy of the dark.
Wow, yeah. You realize there is a profound lack of eye contact. You notice the way you intentionally navigate the house to avoid being in the same room for too long.
Grounding means acknowledging the silence itself.
It means looking at your spouse and stating the objective fact. We have not truly spoken to each other about anything real in 6 months.
It is the terrifying reality of acknowledging the gap. You move from the defensive posture of it's just a busy season to the grounded reality of this is where we are actually standing today.
And then we have to look at grounding in the context of the overwhelming habit.
Right.
Whatever that habit may be for you. The one that started as a comfort or a temporary distraction and has quietly and relentlessly taken the steering wheel of your daily routine.
It just takes over.
Grounding means acknowledging the reality of the grip that habit has on your schedule and your choices.
And grounding with a habit is incredibly sensory. It's not just saying, I need to cut back.
No. It is looking squarely at the physical evidence. It is looking at the sheer volume of empty bottles in the recycling bin.
It is looking at the screen time report on your phone that says you lost 40 hours this week scrolling.
40 hours. It is looking at the money spent on the habit or the text messages from friends asking where you've been.
It is saying, this is the exact size of the habit. This is the exact amount of physical space and time it is taking up in my life.
It is moving from the illusion of I can stop whenever I want to the grounded physical evidence that you haven't stopped at all.
And looking at that evidence, the bank statement, the silence in the marriage, the physical footprint of the habit, brings us to a critical foundational shift in this entire process.
The shift from knowing to feeling.
Exactly. We have talked extensively about grounding, about looking at the truth. But there is a massive, life-altering difference between seeing the truth and actually being changed by it.
This brings us to breaking the effects of denial.
The core shift happens when you move from intellectually knowing the truth to genuinely feeling the weight of it.
And that transition from the head to the heart is the absolute hardest part of this journey.
It is so painful.
Because you can know the bank account is overdrawn. You can know the marriage is struggling. You can know the habit is out of control. You can look at the physical evidence and say, yes, that is a fact.
But knowing is still just data processing.
Exactly. Feeling the weight of it is an entirely different physical and emotional experience. So why is that transition from knowing to feeling so vital? Why can't we just know the facts and fix the problem?
Because denial acts as a barrier to feeling. Denial is, at its core, an emotional anesthetic.
An anesthetic, that's a perfect word for it.
As long as you are in denial, even if you intellectually acknowledge a problem exists, you remain numb to the damage it is causing.
Yeah.
And here is the brutal reality.
What's that?
You cannot heal what you refuse to feel.
Wow.
When the effects of denial finally break, when you move from knowing the data to feeling the truth, the anesthesia wears off. And suddenly you feel the profound sadness of the disconnected marriage.
You feel the sharp, biting fear of the financial ruin.
You feel the crushing regret of the time lost to the habit. And that feeling is incredibly physically heavy.
It is a crushing weight. When you finally stop running, when you finally stop managing the lie, and you let the reality of the wreckage catch up to you, it literally takes your breath away.
It does.
It feels like the air is being pushed out of your lungs. And the immediate instinct is to run right back to the denial.
To grab the anesthetic again.
Yes, because the weight feels like it's going to destroy you.
But here is the profound paradox of the entire recovery process.
I love this part.
By finally feeling the full, crushing weight of the truth, you are given the physical and spiritual ability to finally set it down.
You cannot put down a burden you are pretending you aren't carrying.
Let me repeat that, because it is the linchpin of everything. You cannot put down a burden you are pretending you aren't carrying.
It's impossible.
As long as you deny the weight, as long as you refuse to feel how heavy it is, you are condemned to carry it on your back forever. Feeling the weight is the absolute prerequisite to releasing it.
Feeling the weight is the bridge between the painful past and the actionable present. It is the necessary discomfort that precedes genuine relief.
We spend so much effort trying to avoid that discomfort.
So much of our life energy. We organize our entire lives around not feeling bad, but we fail to realize that the discomfort of the truth is the only path to actual freedom. The pain isn't the problem. The pain is the passageway.
Exactly. And we want to speak directly to you right now, wherever you are sitting.
Yes, please listen to this.
If you are starting to practice this micro-honesty, if you are starting to ground yourself by looking at the physical evidence of your life, and you feel incredible, suffocating heaviness settling over you, we want you to know something absolutely vital.
That heaviness isn't a sign of failure.
It is not a sign that you are doing something wrong or that the process isn't working.
It is the absolute, undeniable evidence that the denial is finally breaking.
It means the anesthetic is wearing off.
It means the nerves are waking up. It means the healing process has actually finally begun. You are feeling the pain because you are alive and you are finally present in your own life.
The pain is the proof of life.
And as we move through this pain, as we take these brave, terrifying action steps of micro-honesty and grounding, we cannot do it alone.
No, we absolutely need an anchor.
We need something solid, something outside of our own fluctuating emotions and fallible minds to hold on to when the waves of reality threaten to pull us under.
And our spiritual anchor for this action phase is found in the Word of God.
Specifically, we anchor ourselves in John chapter 8, verse 32.
John chapter 8, verse 32.
It states, simply and profoundly, that the truth will set you free.
It's so easy to gloss over that because it's a phrase that gets quoted everywhere.
It's on bumper stickers.
Right. But we need to look at what it actually says and what it doesn't say. The Word of God does not say that comfort will set you free.
It doesn't say that maintaining the illusion or keeping the peace at all costs will set you free.
It explicitly says the truth. And truth, as we've established, is often wild, unpredictable, and heavy.
And this verse reveals something incredibly beautiful but also deeply challenging about the nature of God. There is a demand for the real you.
Jesus Christ has absolutely no interest in a cleaned-up, presentable version of us.
None whatsoever.
He is not looking for the version of you that has it all together, the version that manages the optics perfectly, because that version does not actually exist.
It is a complete fiction. It is a ghost.
That is a massive realization.
I know for myself, and for so many others, we operate under this subtle, deeply ingrained belief that we have to wait to get our lives presentable before bringing them to God.
Or even to our friends in our community.
Exactly. We have this internal monologue that says, once I get this habit fully under control, once I finally pay off this massive debt, once my marriage is stable and we stop arguing, Then I will show up.
Then I will be worthy of being seen.
Then I will go to the group. We completely misunderstand the fundamental nature of grace. We treat it like an award for good behavior rather than medicine for the sick.
We truly do. We think the mess itself disqualifies us from the table, when in reality, the mess itself is the exact and only place true healing begins.
He only meets us in the truth.
If you are presenting a fake, curated version of yourself to God, He cannot heal you, because He cannot heal an illusion.
He cannot bandage a ghost.
He can only touch what is actually there in physical, grounded reality. He is only interested in the real, messy, entirely truthful version of us.
So the ultimate goal of everything we are talking about today, the goal of addressing denial, of identifying your safe person, of practicing micro-honesty, of grounding ourselves in undeniable reality, is a profound shift in our very state of being.
We are moving from a state of hiding to a state of being found.
Yes. Hiding versus being found.
When you are in denial, you are hidden. You are hidden from yourself because you won't look at the evidence.
You are hidden from those who love you because you only show them the avatar.
And you are hidden from God because you are offering Him a polished lie. You are functionally invisible, trapped in a room of your own making, maintaining the paint on the walls.
Stepping into the truth, taking that first honest breath, is the courageous act of stepping out of the shadows. It is allowing yourself, perhaps for the first time in your adult life, to be found.
And being found is the most beautiful, the most terrifying, and the most liberating experience a human being can possibly have.
To be fully known, with all the mess, all the brokenness, all the terrible financial choices, all the marriage struggles, all the overwhelming habits, and to be loved anyway.
To be looked at and not abandoned.
That is the actual freedom the Word of God is talking about. That is the dawn of reality.
As we prepare to close our time together today, we want to leave you with one final thought to carry with you throughout this week.
Think back to that room we talked about at the very beginning of our conversation.
The room where you convinced yourself the walls are a different color.
If you spend your whole life maintaining that beautifully painted room of denial, meticulously keeping up the illusion, spending all your strength to make sure the facade never cracks, the tragedy isn't just that it's a lie.
The tragedy isn't just that it was hard work.
The ultimate tragedy is that no one ever gets to meet the real you.
You miss out entirely on the profound joy of being known.
Stepping into the truth, practicing that micro-honesty, is the only way to genuinely connect with the world around you.
It is the only way to actually live, rather than just exist as a manager of a lie.
We want to warmly invite you to step out of that room and join our community in person. We gather every week at Peters Creek Baptist Church in South Park, Pennsylvania.
It is a safe place. It is a place filled with people who intimately understand the heavy weight of the fog and who are learning to experience the beauty of the sunlight.
It is a place to practice the exact kind of honesty we discussed today, surrounded by safe people who won't flinch at your truth.
We would absolutely love to see you there. Here's our weekly Friday schedule at 6:30 p.m., large group worship.
From 7:30 to 8:30 p.m., gender-specific small groups.
And from 8:30 to 9 p.m., the Crosstalk Cafe.
Also, we want to mention that a full dinner is served from 5:15 to 6 p.m., but please note that this is only on the final Friday of each month.
If you are ready to take a step, if you're ready to practice that micro-honesty and find a safe person, please don't stay isolated. Reach out.
You can email Craig Amstone directly at craig.amstone@gmail.com, or you can contact the church office at info@pcbc.church.
We are so deeply grateful for this time we spent together today. We genuinely hope that today, right now, wherever you are, you find the courage to take that first honest breath of reality.
The road is there, solid under your feet, just waiting for you. Just let the fog lift. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Keep walking in the truth.